We all know that how to multiply positive numbers. But what happens when we multiply negative numbers? With the invention of negative numbers, the rules of multiplication had to be expanded to allow the numbers to be either positive or negative. The multiplication rules were chosen to keep everything consistent. Example: since 1 is the multiplicative identity, if a number is multiplied by 1, we should expect that the number's value and the sign will not change. Therefore, multiplying a positive number times a positive number must yield a positive result, and multiplying a positive number times a negative number must yield a negative result. Because of the commutative property of multiplication, we should be able to swap the numbers and get the same result. So if either number is negative, we must still get a negative result. But what if both numbers are negative? If two negative numbers are multiplied, should the product be positive or negative? Let me answer this question with an example. Here, as you can see, there are two colors of balls. Every green ball represents positive 1 and every red ball represents negative 1. Let's say I add in two green balls into the box. So my box is worth 2 at this moment. And if I add in one red ball, as we know the positive 1 and negative 1 are opposite to each other, we can cancel them out. So my box right now is worth positive 1. We can write this scenario mathematically as, firstly I added two green balls and then I added one red ball. Generally, in mathematics, we should not write more than one sign back to back like this. We have to separate them with a bracket or parenthesis, which is another form of multiplication. So, the worth inside the box is positive 1. Okay, this time, I put in 4 green balls and 3 red balls. We can cancel out every red ball for every green ball. So, the balls are left in the box after cancel is positive 1. We can write this scenario mathematically like this. Okay, at this moment, my box worth is positive 1. Now just imagine what happens if I take away one of these red balls from the box. I can write this as, if I take away, take away means subtraction. So if I take away one of the red balls from the box, again, we should not write more than one sign back to back like this. We have to separate them with a bracket or parenthesis. So if I take away one of the red balls from the box, then the leftover in the box will be positive 2. So 1 negative multiplied by negative 1 is 2. From here, we can get the answer to the question that I asked, what if two negatives are multiplied? Here this equation must be true only if negative multiplied by negative is positive. Now we know what sign the result should be when we multiply two numbers of any sign. Multiplying two numbers with the same sign always gives a positive result. And multiplying two numbers with opposite signs always gives a negative result. Understanding this can help us simplify multiplication problems involving multiple numbers of different signs. Let's say that we have a bunch of positive and negative numbers which are multiplied. The commutative property of multiplication says that we can arrange these numbers in any way we like. So let's group pairs of negative numbers together. Each pair of negative numbers creates the same result as if the pair was positive. So we can change their signs to positive without changing the result of the multiplication. Since there was an even number of negative numbers, after each pair of negatives was changed to positives, there were no negative numbers left over. Therefore, the result of the multiplication is positive. Now let's see what happens if we have an odd number of negative numbers. Once again, we group the negative numbers into pairs and change their signs. But one unpaired negative number is left. So this time, the result of the multiplication is negative. Here is another interesting trick which can come in handy. Multiplying any positive number which we call a by -1 switches its sign to negative. Likewise, multiplying any negative number by -1 will switch its sign to positive.
Summary. To put your new knowledge into practice, try the your turn questions below.